Hi, I want to introduce you to a new plugin I've been creating called Moonbass. It's a beat synced oscilloscope designed to help with bass specifically. It's got a few features which we'll get into, which add some additional benefits in that area, but let's start with some of the basic functionality. So I've got this demo track and we'll just play it through. We'll just walk through some of the basic features first of all. So what we're showing here, we've got this oscilloscope trace here that's showing 4 bars. On the top line, we've got the kick and bass bus showing the bass in cyan and the kick in red. At the bottom, we're showing the sum of these two signals as they'll appear in the final mix. So we can go in and just look at one bar here if we want to get more detail. Got the scroll bar here so we can zoom in and see a lot of detail if we need to move around. Let's go back here to 4 bars. A few basic features like we can turn the grid on and off and hide and show various parts of this so we can just see. And then we can freeze the whole trace if we want to just go in and spend time analysing things. Okay, so that's the basic view. But let's have a look now at sort of the dynamics feature. This gives us sort of a visual representation of the energy of the bass line, and we can see how this varies over the track and whereabouts the bass is. Obviously, the deeper the colour here, the more energy we have, as you can see aligning when we get an overlay here, showing the decibels. On the right here we can see a histogram of the current area showing our range, so we've got quite a big dynamic range there. So some very quiet parts and quite a variation between the loudest parts. Obviously as the track evolves we'll see this change. It's quite useful to compare against reference tracks to see how this varies. We can adjust the contrast here depending on how loud things are to bring out the detail. And again we can zoom in. Additional thing, well, because we're only looking at the bass, we can choose what range of frequencies. So if we go down here, we can just show the sub bass, and sometimes that will just show exactly where the sub is happening, or we can bring in higher frequencies there and we should see more details. By clicking here, we can enable the visual filter on the waveforms in the scope trace. This reflects the low-pass filtered audio that's been processed. If we just pause and zoom in, we can see here, as we change the filter cutoff, that we get different frequency components showing, and more of the overtones of the bass. We can also see how the higher frequency click at the start of the kick is filtered out. Another option here is just to listen to what we're processing as well. If we just solo the bass bus, and we can just listen here to what the filter effect is. Get a feel for that. Okay, so now I want to switch to a slightly simpler track and show you some of the interesting things that can happen with dynamics and problems that can occur. So this track is just a simple kick and syncopated sub. Let me just play it for you now. We're using a sample for the kick and a basic serum patch for the sub. Now you can see here that the dynamics of this are varying. They're not remaining the same across each bar. You see particularly this area here, we can see how here it's gone a bit brighter, we've got more, and over here we lose a lot of energy here. So what's going on? Okay, so if I bring up Serum, you can see you end up with a random phase here. And of course this sub phase is interfering differently depending on the random phase that it has each time it's used. So if we turn this down, we'll see now that we should get a consistent look. We see this is much better. This is where I want to bring in the next feature, which shows phase cancellation, because even though we've eliminated the random phase, we'll still see that because of the timings of the sub and the kick and the phases that they have, we'll see some phase cancellation. So if I switch to phase cancellation mode, we have an overlay that highlights the areas where phase cancellation is happening. And on the right here, we're showing the summary. We're seeing at some places in this bar, we're seeing an 8.3 decibel drop caused by phase cancellation. And you can see obviously it's here, right? So let's just pause this and zoom in and have a little look. Okay, and we can see here we got completely out of phase signals here at this point where the kick and the sub cross over. So what do we do about this? Okay, so one way is to modify the phase of the sub, right? In this case, it's pretty straightforward to do. We just rotate around and we'll see that now we've pretty much eliminated it, right? We've got 0.2 decibels of cancellation, and if we pause, zoom in, we'll see right now they're pretty much in phase, right? And of course, we can just completely fine-tune that if we want. The observer will notice that now, by shifting the phase of this, we've actually got a huge problem now, because we've even made these pads worse here. Now we're getting 4 decibels here and 7 here. If we look at the dynamics mode, we can see how there's much less energy here and here, where we're getting the cancellation, and we can see that in the shape of this signal. So that's not great. So we just revert back again, we can see how this changes. We get the energy back in those places, but then lose it here where the cancellation is happening. So we're seeing that these two different V modes align on what they're showing, but we've still got a problem, right? So how do we solve it? Well, what I've applied here is a bit of Serum automation to vary the phase on each of the sub notes. If I play now, it's still not working, but that's because I need to revert back to the automation. And now when we look, we can see we've pretty much eliminated it, not perfectly here. I haven't done a good job there. We're only seeing a 0.8 maximum drop. And so that's one solution. So I hope that's helpful. It shows, how the two modes of Moonbass really help in tuning this aspect of your sub and ensuring that we get a consistent energy. Just as a final thing, let's have a look at the dynamics and see if this looks better now. Yeah, and we're getting a pretty even color banding across the whole thing here.